In this video, we're going to see a quick overview of setting a custom character in Audio2Face. Audio2Face generates facial animation from any given input speech.
Good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing?
Audio2Face is generating not only the motion of the face, but also the motion of the eyes, the jaw, and the tongue.
Good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing?
In order to set up a character that can be driven by Audio2Face, the character will need to have a pair of eyes, a tongue, and a separated lower denture. And the skin for the face. The character could also have some optional elements. Dynamic elements that move together with the skin, such as brows, eyelashes, or the tear line in the eyes, or static elements that are not moving with the skin, such as the hair or the shirt in this case. Finally, we need, of course, an Audio2Face mesh that will drive our character. The workflow for setting a character starts on the Character Transfer tab. The first step is to map all the relevant parts of the face so that Audio2Face understands how your character is composed. After identifying all the parts, we are ready to set up the character. This will bring the A to F meshes for the next steps. The gray mesh will be used as the animation driver on the final step. Audio2Face will drive the gray character, and in its turn, the gray character will drive the animation of the custom character. In order to do that, we need to identify some corresponding points between Audio2Face meshes and the custom character. This brings us to the next step, the skin mesh fitting. With the available tools, text can be added on the character and the green mesh, edited and removed as well. With the correspondent set, we can start the fitting process. When the fitting process is done, you will be presented with the result of the fitting. A successful fitting should make the character mesh closely resemble the green mesh. The quality of the fitting is an important factor to the final quality of the character transfer. Once satisfied, the post-wrap will finalize the mesh fitting process and bring back the character to its original shape. The next steps will prepare the jaw and the tongue. This last process, you only need to click on each button once. With the skin, jaw, and tongue ready, we reach the final step of the character setup. The last remaining step is to attach an Audio2Face pipeline on the gray mesh. And with that, the custom character is ready.
Good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing?
So let's see how we can do this directly inside Audio2Face. I have my file loaded, and as you can see, we have all the necessary meshes to fill up the character setup. We have the skin, we have the eyes, we also have the lower denture, the tongue, and all the other additional meshes. So let's start by selecting the skin mesh and adding it to the skin field. Now you will be presented with the character orientation, in this case the correct one. If not, you can change this orientation here at the top. Once you're done, we can just remove because it's just for visualization. One thing to notice is that here there is some information in case your mesh has some issue. The next step is to adding the lower denture, the tongue, and then here we are reaching the eyes. So we will choose the left eye meshes and the right eye meshes. It's important that they are separated in both sides. We can have as many meshes as possible, but they have to be separate for the left and right side. Now we are presented here with a choice of having use the parent transform, the mesh world position, or compute the select mesh. In this case, when you select the mesh, you can see that it has its own transform. Then you could use the select mesh world position. In these other cases that I prepare, in this case, the mesh has no transform. the transform where the center of the eye is actually on its parent X form. In this case, if you added this type of eyes, you should use the parent X form. The final one is basically meshes that have no reference here in the compute. They have no reference, plus the parent also doesn't provide this information. Then in this case, you could use the compute from selected mesh. It will try to fit a sphere and try to find the center of the eye automatically. In this case, I added them from the mesh transform. So we're gonna choose the choroid as the reference and then just use the selected mesh world position. Now we can add our additional meshes. So we have the hair here, the shirt, and also the top denture. Finally, we will add the dynamic meshes that should move together with the skin. And also we have the eyelashes, which in this case is a new feature in Audio2Face. Hair can be set up as curves. So with this, we have the setup ready. So let's just go ahead and click the setup character. And this will bring our mesh setup here. If the material gets lost, in many cases is because the material is inherited, not set directly. You can just simply go ahead and find it. In this case is the hair. All right, so now we need to start getting some correspondences. I usually think it's more convenient to hide the elements that are not needed. So for example, like the static and dynamics are not needed. Then we can start adding by choosing the add mode. And the way it works is you have to put one correspondence on each side and then choose the other side. Then when you click again, then you are placing a new correspondence. The order is not important, but once you place both correspondences, then you switch to the next step. You can put as many as you need. Usually we want to cover the important features. And when you are done, you can click on the done button. If you wanted to edit because the position was not correct, you can click on the edit menu and then refine your correspondences by click and dragging on them. You can also delete the correspondences and save them into a JSON file in order to be used later. So I did this before and I saved a good group of correspondences. So here is my setup. You can see that I cover the eyes and the mouth with more detail. And then I just provide few general landmarks to guide the fitting. With that, we can start the mesh fitting process. The result will show, and you want to check whether these two meshes are quite similar. In this case, the result is pretty good. And because the nose, it doesn't move, it's not a big problem. But we could even add some other correspondences here to improve that. If you wanted to do that, you could simply delete the fitted mesh and then just bring back the original mesh and then start adding correspondences again. Once you're done, you can just do the mesh fitting process again. But for this demo, this will be enough. So when we are satisfied, we can just continue with the post wrap. The post wrap will set up the character back to its original position, ready for the next step. We will prepare the jaw motion, then the tongue mesh fitting, and finally the tongue mesh post wrap. At this step, we might want to deal with the dynamic meshes. So these dynamic meshes are the ones that will follow the movement of the skin. So we can use the Prox UI tool to drive them. The way this works, you can open the UI, and here they will have the explanation. You first select the driver mesh, in this case our skin, followed by all the meshes that you want to deform with that driver. So let's select our skin, and then select all the dynamic meshes, and then just simply press apply. When it's successful, we can just simply close the UI. Now it will not show anything, but in the next step, which is setting up the Audio2Face pipeline, we can see that they will be set correctly. At that time, also what we can do is we can hide this mesh as we don't need it anymore, and then set up the Audio2Face pipeline. Usually, if we did the setting correctly, all these meshes will show up already set up. Here you have the choice between the regular and streaming layer, as well as the networks that we have. Let's choose the new model Claire. Once this is performed, the mesh is ready to be played. Let's choose proper voice, and then let's test it.
How are you doing? Tourism is also a significant contributor to Bangkok's economy, generating 427.5 billion baht, $13.38 billion in revenue in 2010.
And also we can try the Chinese new language.
黑，频频点刹车，红圈被甩出车外。
And finally, this is a new addition. We can also switch the networks. So you can try which network and model is more suitable for your language or for the speech that you are working with. So both models works for all languages and female or male as well.
They chew waters of the lock, personal, including the French queen. Before she heard that symphony again, she was just killing herself.
Please check our forum and Discord channel for any doubts or feedback that you might have. Thank you.